This meeting is being recorded.
There's a few more people on the waiting room, so we'll just give them a chance to come in, and then we will start shortly. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining our forum. All right, I believe we can begin. Good evening, everyone. If you can please remain muted, and also if you may stop your video. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight's candidate forum. This is the Brown Deer School Candidate Forum hosted by the Brown Deer Elementary School PTO. Thank you so much for joining us. The organization that will be facilitating this event tonight. The organization that will be facilitating this event tonight, it is called the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County. Ms. Julie A. Bowles and also Kay Vance. So if they want to go ahead and introduce themselves, go ahead and take it over. Now is theirs.
Okay, did you want to say anything else about the PTO?
Well, the PTO is actually, we are working on doing some great things at the elementary school. Our next general meeting will be April 11th, so make sure you save the date. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. And welcome to the candidate forum for Brown Deer School Board. I'd just like to tell the audience to keep their video off, but to stay connected. So that's, I think that's all I needed to say. So keep your video off, but stay connected. Candidates, keep your video on and your audio when you need to speak. So welcome to the Candidate Forum. Thank you to our sponsor, the Brown Deer Elementary School Parent Teacher Organization. My name is Kay Vance and I'm the moderator for this evening's Candidate Forum. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the League of Women Voters. We're a nonprofit, nonpartisan membership organization that promotes informed and active participation in government. As a nonpartisan group, the League does not endorse candidates or political parties. It's important to be an educated voter, and it's nice that you took part of your evening out to come and learn about the candidates. We also welcome you to join the League of Women Voters, which is, even though it says League of Women Voters, that's been the title for 100 years, it's open to men also. Questions for the candidate forum were submitted prior to the forum by voters in the Brown Deer community. Thank you to everyone who provided questions. Additional questions were developed by the League based on common themes that emerged from forums with other nearby school districts. 5 candidates are seeking election for the Brown Deer School Board. They're vying for 2 positions. With us this evening are Dorothea Macon, Sheena Polachowski, and Lisa Walker. Also on the ballot, but not here tonight, is Mark Allen Jarman and Nicole Zick, who is a registered write-in candidate. The candidates will be addressed by first names as they have said that was fine. And we will begin with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate, followed by the questions. And the questions will have 90 seconds allowed for each answer. Then we will end with a 2-minute closing remark. Lots were drawn to determine the order of speaking, and we'll rotate who goes first. So the person who goes first on the opening will not go first on the next question. So we're rotating them. Candidates, you will see a sign indicating when you have 30 seconds left to speak, 15 seconds left to speak, and when you need to wrap it up. You, of course, can finish your sentences or finish your thought, but please honor the guidelines for the forum so we may make the best use of our time and this forum opportunity. So we're going to begin with opening statements, 2 minutes or less. And this is starting with Sheena Polichowski. Sheena, I'm going to call you. In 2 minutes or less, please share how you would like to state your opening comments.
Thank you,
So,
Kay.
Sheena.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Brown Deer PTO for putting tonight's event together, and to all of the community voters who submitted questions for tonight. Simply put, I am running for school board because I value quality education. I am a wife and a mom to 3 students who are enrolled in the district. And I am currently a licensed realtor with a BA in communication. However, my background and passion runs deep in youth work. I spent several years working in social services and nonprofits, namely AmeriCorps, where I served 2 terms, one in Chicago Public Schools in a literacy program, and then the other in MPS for a college readiness program. Upon graduating from college, I was a care coordinator for a program called Wraparound, where I developed plans of care for youth with serious emotional, behavioral, and mental health needs. I think that Brown Deer is a really good district, but I do believe that we have potential to be greater. And I think that we can do that by addressing equity, transparency, and student-teacher welfare within our district so that we can continue or better our way to serve our children and provide them with world-class education. Thank you.
Okay. Lisa, you are up next for your opening statement. So you need to unmute.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Kay. Good evening, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to thank the PTO and the League of Women Voters for hosting, but most important, thank you to all of you for being here virtually. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Walker, and my husband Charles and I have lived in Brown Deer for 19 years. I'm excited to be running for the Brown Deer School Board. I am running because I think that I can help, and I think that I should. As the parent of a 9th grader who attends the Brown Deer schools, education is certainly a priority for me. I think effort needs to be made to raise scholastic achievement. We've got some pretty special kids in this district. They'll go as far as we let them. I think being an effective board member requires collaboration and creative thinking to ensure our resources are invested in our classroom and that our tax dollars are used effectively and efficiently. One of the most important skill sets I possess is my ability to listen, consider all information presented, and develop an action plan. My efforts as a board member would center on serving all the children in the district. We are a diverse community and have to celebrate that diversity. Our schools are here to serve the educational needs of all children. I think teacher retention is important. We need to keep our talented teachers in Brown Deer, and I'm glad the board has already addressed this topic. I believe a school board must be responsive and receptive to parents, faculty, and the community at large while encouraging an open dialogue. The board must take input from all groups and weigh all facts before making decisions. Anyone who comes before the board has a right to be heard, not just speak. All voices matter. A school board member must build public understanding, support, and participation. I look forward to answering more questions from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothea, your opening statement.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Dorothea Macon, and I have lived in the district for over 16 years. I have a daughter who's in 9th grade as well. She began in K4 in the Brown Deer School District. I am an educator by trade. I have three degrees. I I hold a bachelor's in education, a master's in education, and I'm ABD for the degree of educational policy and leadership. So learning has been a lifelong, I guess, um, lifelong learning is very important to me. In addition, I've served on a number of committees for Brown Deer. Um, I was on the teaching and learning committee for about 9 years before I ran for the board. Um, since I got off of the board, I have worked with the Educational Foundation. My daughter is an athlete, so I participate in a number of the different sports activities that that occur on campus. And I've I've been a board member before. So what I've found, I've also subbed. I've subbed in the district as well. I love Brown Deer. I actually moved away for about 10 months and I decided to come back. My daughter and I both thought that Brown Deer is our home. And so having been on the board, I understand that there are a lot of things change all the time. And what I try to do is support as many, to bring all of the stakeholders' information to the forefront so that they can be heard, as well as support the superintendent and the administrators and students and teachers.
Got to get that.
Got it in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we will move to your questions that were submitted from the Brown Deer community. The sign will let you know when you have 30 seconds and 15 seconds remaining and when you must stop. And we're going to begin with Lisa Walker. So you need to unmute. And the first question is, how does your own educational background, personal and professional background, and prior school involvement prepare you and qualify you to be in a school board position?
Well, I would tap into my working skills. I worked full-time. Actually, I jumped right into the working world. And I would say my best skills from learning in that world would be listening, also learning how to work with different personalities. And I think both of those would be really effective tools in working with the school board and the faculty and the superintendent. I think higher education is important, but just for me, I happen to enter the working world. And so I work full time, and some of the other things I've done in the community, which I think make me ready to be on the school board, is I was the vice president of the junior baseball. So I've been on that committee. Currently, I'm also serving a 3-year term on the special events committee for the Village of Brown Deer. And those are also two things that I think would set me up for success to be on the school board.
Okay. Did you have anything else to say, Lisa?
No, that was it.
All right. The question now goes to Dorothea. I'm going to read it again because it's a pretty long question. How does your own educational background, personal and professional background, and prior school involvement prepare and qualify you for the position of Brown Deer School Board member?
Okay. Again, I am a lifelong learner. I continue to study and to learn as much as I can, because I believe that my goal is to serve. When you have certain skills and certain credentials, that's what you're supposed to do. I retired from Milwaukee Area Technical College in 2016. And during that time, man, I've continued to study, to participate in activities at Brown Deer School District. And my background is in education. I have a BA in education, and my other degrees are in education, vocational and technical education, and also in educational policy and leadership. So I have lots of books in my library, and I have, like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. And so I think that because of my background, I am useful and helpful and can serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheena, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I think that what prepares me to be a board member would be one, as I mentioned in my opening statement, I do have a BA in communication, and with that, I focused on mediation and negotiation. So that allows me to um, better communicate with people no matter what their views are and come to an agreement. I do have board experience. I'm currently the fundraising chair for the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors Youth Foundation Board. And prior to that, I was the membership chair for the Milwaukee Urban League Young Professionals. So I do have board experience. I'm very familiar with Robert Rules of Order and how a board should be run to effectively meet our goals and needs of the community. And then in regards to my connection to the community, I am involved in the PTO. I'm also a realtor, so I do a lot of really trying to sell the neighborhood and maybe a little biased, but trying to let buyers see, how great of a community Brown Deer actually is. So I think that all of that coupled together makes me a great candidate for the school board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dorothea, you're going to get question number 2 first, and it's a short one, but it's a nice positive one. What are some of the best things happening in the Brown Deer School District right now? Dorothea?
One of the best things that I think is happening in the school board is that the administration, the superintendent, the community are all communicating and trying to come about ways to deal with the pandemic. This is a different time than any other time in history, and it's really important for all stakeholders to assist in whatever way that they can. I'm very proud of how things have been handled in the last year and a half. Can we do more? I don't know. The bottom line is that we are. I believe that the superintendent is transparent, and that makes it a lot easier. The board as well. And so, as long as that communication is that line of communication is open, I think that the kids will fare well, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Okay, thank you. Sheena, what are some of the best things you think are happening in the school district?
I'll have to agree with Dorothea. I think that we are starting to see a lot of community involvement, especially since the pandemic, just more communication and just everyone trying to work together and make sure that we're doing what's best for the kids. It's a super hard time. We all have different views on how things need to happen, but that dialogue is at least happening. And I think that at least starts to move us forward in getting through this. So I think that is one of the great things that are happening. And then just, I can speak specifically for the elementary school, seeing how we're starting to address certain topics and look at ways to fix those issues and bring in resources into the school to address some of the issues that are going on in the elementary. So I think that that's always a start. Communication is really big for me. And I think, like I said before, that really helps us to push forward and move forward and hopefully meet the goals that we have set out for us.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, what do you think some of the best things are happening?
Thank you. Well, I think some of the best things are happening, and I get really excited when I look on the parent pages and on the district website and I see that Our middle school teams, the forensics teams, our debate teams are doing really great at district levels and at state levels, and that we have middle schoolers beating our librarians in the battle of the books. And I think the students are excited, and I think that moving forward, that they can keep up and move forward with their education because of the foundation that they're getting with these other extracurricular activities. I'm also proud of our sports teams. I read that one of our sports athletes, Jabari Baker, is going to event this summer for, and he's also taking donations. And I think that's really important to show our students that if they can achieve higher value, then they'll go on to do great things.
Okay. Question number 3, Sheena goes first with this question. What are some of the challenges facing the district? And what are your ideas for addressing what you consider to be the challenges facing the district?
I would say some of the challenges would be teacher retention. We've seen in the last 2 years, that a lot of teachers are leaving the district for whatever reason. And I think that we need to let the teachers know that we need them, we appreciate them. We need to make sure that we set processes in place to make them feel that we actually do need and appreciate them, because when they leave the district, and I know that sometimes it's for personal reasons or whatnot, it still affects our students. So when we're seeing students go through 1, 2, 3 teachers in a year, that really affects how the children learns. It affects their connection to learning. So that is one of the things that I would like for us to address. And I think that we can do that by, like I said, just making the teachers feel appreciated and feel like we need them. And I would just like to say personally, if there are any teachers on here, we really do appreciate you and we need you in our districts, and hopefully you will stay and continue to educate our children.
Okay. Lisa?
Thank you. I totally agree with what Sheena just said about teacher retention. I think that's really important for our district because we do have a lot of talented teachers. And when I go to the school board meetings, and I'm glad that this week we didn't have anyone resigning, but when I go to the school board meetings, I get concerned that we have so many teachers who are leaving our district. And I think that needs to be a #1 priority. I also think that we need to stop the violence in our school and the bullying. I personally have seen videos of fights going on at our school, and it really disturbs me. So I hope to also make that #1 priority for the board and the school district. And I'm also happy with our COVID protocols right now, because I think it makes sense. And I think we need to continue to protect our students and staff. And if those levels change, then we need to be changing our mask mandate as well. But for now, I'm really happy with that. And I still think we need to improve communication. I listen on the school board mornings, and I get a little disappointed that not as many parents are involved and listen in on those, because I think it's really important for them to get involved. And I hope that parents that can't be involved, that I can be a liaison to them and bring back information that they need also for the district.
Okay, thank you. Dorothea, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am. Thank you. I think my greatest concern is the social emotional status of the kids. I feel like they've lost a lot during the pandemic. It's hard to remain focused and do their best when you have so many changes in a semester. I was very social growing up, participated in a lot. I think the kids have missed a lot of those activities that help to keep them well-rounded. A lot of the children are seeking counseling but there are other children that may not have the resources or the access to it. I think that whatever we can do collectively as a community, along with the superintendent, to create some avenues for students to garner the support that they need so that they can be the best students ever. I think that that will be good. So that's the greatest challenge for me, figuring out a way to get the kids to function at their highest level and to be social, um, to be well-rounded and sound. And that should eliminate those fights.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The fourth question is focused on students and specific ideas. And the question is, and it goes to Lisa first, what ideas do you have to offer more options and challenges to the Brown Deer students?
Well, I think that student involvement is really key. And if we can get more students involved in sports, I'm a big sports advocate. And currently some of our sports teams barely have enough students to survive. And it's hard when you're on a team when players are fresh and they don't really know how to play the game. And so I think that if we can get more students involved in sports and extracurricular activities, then that will definitely help in the long run, because it's going to help with their socialization and missing these skills that they are missing from being home from the pandemic. So I think that actually would be a really something that they could embrace and get more friends involved is really what I think needs to happen in the sports.
Okay, Dorothea, I'm assuming you're done, Lisa, right? Okay.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I was writing notes, yeah, but I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, Dorothea,
Well,
you're next. So.
I'm next. Okay. Man, I have a lot of ideas. First of all, I'm a big component of cooperative learning. I think that students do best when you don't have a weak link. And if they're working more together, I think that that works well. I would love to see online volunteers that are helping the students to be productive, because our main goal is to help these children to become self-sufficient, functioning members of society. I love the way the board and the superintendent now has created a number of different focus groups and solicited for more parental involvement, because I think that that's what makes us the strongest. In addition, I just think we need to continue with our transparency, or, I guess I'm saying I'm not on the board yet again, but and keep those lines of communication open. That's what I think is important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheena?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, sure. What ideas do you have to offer for more options and challenges for the Brown Deer School students?
I would like to see, I love that we have the gifted and talented program, but I would like to see a little more push in that. I think that we have a lot of amazing students in the district, and just in my own personal experience, a lot of times when we find that they're gifted and talented, it involves giving them more work as opposed to more challenging work. So giving them more work that really pushes like that critical thinking and different ways of learning versus just giving them more physical work. So I would love to see an increase in the challenges that we actually provide our students, because I think that they can do it. And I think it's a disservice to them to not provide them with those challenging concepts.
Okay, thank you. Dorothea, you're going to be the first one for question 5. And question 5 is, A vital responsibility of the school board is to balance education with the residents' property taxes. How do you plan to balance these two important duties?
I participated, well, I was on the board. I was elected to the board in the past, and we have had a number of referendums. I think that as long as the superintendent and the board is transparent and open and communicates with the community, I think that the community is really behind our children growing and being productive citizens and doing well academically. I read something where it said the average um, SAT score or ACT score was a 17. That's something that we can work on. But I think that the vital responsibility that we have is to get our kids back up to the levels where they need to be. We have a number of students, and most districts have a number of students that are not at their academic level. We're doing great with getting them back on their academic levels. However, that's going to be something that we will continue to work toward. Thank you.
Sheena, that's question number 5. Would you like it repeated?
No, thank you. I agree with Dorothea, and I think just to add to that, I think using those funds to kind of research and tap into more curriculum that will contribute to the district providing world-class education to our students is something that's really important. And I think it can be done like through a collaboration of course, the community and parents, but the administration and teachers working together to just build better curriculum for our students. I think the stakeholders deserve that.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, I'll just repeat it. A vital responsibility of the school board is to balance education with the residents' concern about property taxes. How do you plan to balance these two duties?
Well, I think it's a good question, and one that I'm not particularly sure I have an exact answer for, but I do agree with the other two candidates and think that taking recommendations from our superintendent, the needs of our school buildings, if we need upkeep, or building our curriculum is going to be the best need to fulfill that.
Okay. Okay, then we're already on to question 6. And Sheena, you're going to go first with question 6. It is teachers, students, and parents are all important stakeholders in our schools. What are your views on the relative roles of these stakeholders in school decisions? So those stakeholders are teachers, students, and parents. Sheena?
Yes. I think it all starts with communication, keeping the lines of communication open amongst all of those stakeholders. As parents, we need to advocate for our children, especially the younger ones who can't fully advocate for themselves. I know that not every parent has the luxury of attending board meetings and whatnot, especially with everything that's going on. But even if it's just through messages to the teacher or emails to administration, just making sure that we're advocating for them. And then the same with teachers, just making sure that that professional development is ongoing. And then again, for the students, I'm teaching them how to advocate for themselves, but in the meantime, we all need to be advocating for them.
Okay. Thank you. Dorothea?
I think that for the students, that their main responsibility is to do what's required and to do their very best. I think for the parents, it's to support their students, their children, and to help them to maximize their potential. For teachers, I think that it's important for them um, to understand different learning styles and to create avenues for students um, to do their best. So sometimes it may mean providing remedial um, lesson plans, and sometimes it may be to push them outside their box or their comfort level so that they are stretched and they're doing more gifted and talented work. Um, and again, like I said, that's where I think that that cooperative learning comes in, because you have mixed um, mixed abilities working together. But I think that that's teacher, parents, and students roles
Okay,
and responsibilities.
thank you, Dorothea. Question 7.
Wait,
and-
I didn't answer that question.
Oh,
We missed Lisa.
I'm sorry.
That's
Lisa,
okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Teachers, students, and parents are all important stakeholders in our schools. What are your views on the relative roles of these stakeholders in the school districts?
Well, I'm really proud of our teachers. They have done a phenomenal job through COVID and through alternate learning, going between what we've had to deal with, and I am super proud of them. And I would just like them to continue with the fine job that they've been doing. The students, I would love the students to be present, be helpful, care about their work, care about fellow students, care about the school grounds, care about the community. I'm very distressed when I read comments that boys are throwing water bottles at cars down streets. I think that we can do a lot better. And I think the students can help by doing those things, being present, being helpful, care about their community, care about their fellow student, care about themselves. Parents need to get involved. More parents need to volunteer. I can only relate to the sports world, and parents don't come to games. Parents don't help out. Parents don't volunteer. And it's a really hard path for students in sports when the parents aren't even there supporting. So I think parents need to get involved with other avenues, as well as help their students with the getting them to school and letting them or teaching them that these things that are going on at school are not appropriate.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. And you're going to get to go first for the next question also.
Okay.
And you went last, and you're first right now.
Okay.
And this is the question 7. Please speak to your views on district efforts to break down barriers to student success. How can we provide more equitable opportunities for all of our students in Brown Deer?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure, it's a long one. Please speak to your views on district efforts to break down barriers to student success. How can we provide more equitable opportunities for all of the students in the Brown Deer School District?
Well, one of the things I really find at the high school level that's helpful is during any HIP class or any open class, the teachers are available for students to get extra help if they need it. And I think that's really important for students that need that extra help. Also, I find that teachers give a lot of leeway with getting assignments done. And even if you're past a due date, you can still get assignments done. And I think these are all things that really help the students moving forward with their academics.
Okay, are you concluded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Dorothea, you're next with that question. I'll just repeat it because it is lengthy. Please speak to your views on district efforts to break down barriers to student success. How can we provide more equitable opportunities to all of our Brown Deer students?
Okay. I think that it's really important to continue to look at the data so that we can see how students are progressing. I know that there's tier 1 and tier 2 and maybe even trying to remember if it's tier 3 instruction that's given to try to help students to bridge some of those gaps between, let's say, for instance, African American students and the other students. I think that one way that we continue to break down that equity is to, like I said, look at the data and utilize instruction that will support those students in doing better. We may even need some more aids in the classrooms. So that's
Okay.
pretty much it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheena, would you like me to repeat that question?
Just the first half, please.
Okay, please speak to your views on district efforts to break down barriers to student success. How can we provide more equitable opportunities?
So first, I'll acknowledge that I do see that the district is working to close the achievement gaps. Our graduation rates have risen over the years, so definitely applaud the district for that. But I would like to see that we don't get comfortable and almost fall to just teaching students how to test versus how to learn. And then speaking on the equity piece, acknowledging that equity is not just exclusive to race, it's also exclusive to learning abilities. I would like to see like more equity pedagogy and seeing how acknowledging like who we're teaching, how we're teaching, what we're teaching. And then also acknowledging that to speak to the race portion of it, that like just the use of culturally identifiable names in a math problem, that's not enough. When we're speaking to equity, we need to make sure that our children are seeing themselves in their learning, because that's what helps them to learn better.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. The next question is question 8, and Dorothea, you're going to get first crack at this question. It's, how can the school board assure equitable instruction for children of all abilities in terms of differentiation, inclusion, adaptive curriculum, co-plan, co-serve, and cooperative learning? This question is focused, I think, on students with disabilities or special education students. So I'm just going to repeat it again with that focus. How can the school board assure equitable instruction for children of all abilities in terms of differentiation, inclusion, adaptive curriculum, co-plan, co-serve, and cooperative learning in terms of these students with disabilities and special education needs?
Yeah. Okay, one thing that's really nice is that in the state comes together at different times to look at the curriculum, to see what the needs are. That information is kind of sifted into that committee, and then it's used throughout the state. So the curriculum isn't anything that we create necessarily, not by ourselves. So the curriculum is already created. What we do, though, however, is we make sure that we hire competent teachers, and we support those teachers in their efforts to work with our special needs population, our students who may not be making quite at the mark where they need to be, and our gifted students. So again, like when we're looking at the data, we're not looking at the data to say tests are the end all. What we're looking at the data for is to make sure that if there are lower levels, that we have an opportunity to get those supports, those tools and supports that we need in order to support the students.
Okay, thank you.
Did I
Sheena?
go over?
No, you didn't. You're fine.
Okay, Julie. Okay,
You
thanks.
can finish your thoughts. We're not going to cut you off. We're doing pretty well on time. So,
Okay, thank you.
Sheena, your take on that question, would you like me to repeat it because it's long?
Yes, please.
Okay. And this is kind of Also thinking of students with different abilities, including those that have disabilities. How can the school board assure equitable instruction for children of all abilities in terms of differentiation, inclusion, adaptive curriculum, co-plan, co-serve, and cooperative learning?
Okay. I think that especially within these last 2 years with the pandemic, a lot of our special needs students suffered a lapse in services. And so I think that that definitely needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, those lapse in services caused some families to leave our district, and that's the last thing that we want. So making sure that there are no lapse in services for students with special needs, because again, where's the equity in that, right? And then just making sure that one of the issues that I've seen in talking to community members is the access to aids. And again, it goes back to, retention and keeping the staff and teachers in our schools. But when that happens, what systems are set in place to make sure that, if an aid happens to leave our district, what services are set in place to make sure that those students will continue to receive the aid that they need and to help them strive socially, emotionally, and academically in our district.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
Yes. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. How can the school district assure equitable instruction for children of all abilities? So this is including those with special education disabilities in terms of differentiation, inclusion, adaptive curriculum, co-plan, co-serve, and cooperative learning. So it's equitable instruction across all ability and disability levels.
Well, again, this is not my area of expertise, but my opinions would be that I know how important IEPs were. My son was actually had an IEP all through grade school and middle school, and I know how important those are to keep up. So I can really appreciate what Sheena said about the disruption that these kids have had during COVID, how difficult that must have been for them. And I also know how important the aids are for the students that need extra help. And so I hope that moving forward, I can be more educated on this subject.
Okay, thank you. Sheena, you're going to get question 9 first. And that question is, what is your plan to ensure transparency and clear communication from the school board? And what policies and implementation plans would you develop to ensure this happens? So the question is about transparency, clear communication, and what policies you would like to see.
Thank you. Well, transparency is absolutely important to me. I think that having transparency when we in setting like certain standards allows us to, it helps with accountability. With that being said, there are rules that must be followed when you're on a board, and in terms of, from my understanding, with the school board, it's open. What you see in these meetings is what kind of what you get. It's nothing should be held back. So just making sure that nothing is held back, but we're also adhering to like the Robert's Rules of Order and just how a board is actually run. But I think going back to the transparency, if we set those standards and make them clear, then there's accountability, and I think we'll be good if we can follow those 2 steps.
Okay, thank you, Sheena. Dorothea?
Yes, ma'am. Um, during the time that I was on the board in the past, I got an opportunity to work with some of the people that are on the board now. Some of those folks I've known for years that are on the board, and so I'm able to communicate pretty well with them. I think that that's really important. When I was on the board, I noticed that there were some agencies or some school districts that had um, just a horrible relationship with one another. There were people who, in my opinion, were getting on the board for the wrong reason. And so it was kind of an um, cantankerous or adversarial type of relationship that was created because everybody had competing, seemingly goals. One of the things that I think is important is that you have a cohesive group, a group of people that can communicate well together. And if they're able to do well together as a board and work with the superintendent and the teachers, as well as the other stockholders in the district, I think that we do well. And so just not making sure that the kids are first, that the goal is to promote students and not other agendas.
Okay, thank you. We're at question number 10 and the first.
I didn't answer that, Kay. Lisa.
Lisa, why do I keep skipping you?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay. What is your plan to ensure transparency and clear communication from the school board? What policies would you like to implement?
Well, I know school board meetings are important to all parents and they can't always get there in person. So I'd like to make sure that they are always kept informed by making sure minutes are updated in a timely fashion and to be available to all parents if they ever have questions about what's happened at school board meetings. I'd encourage more parents to get involved in attending school board meetings. They're very informative. You really learn a lot. And I really enjoyed learning and being able to Zoom those meetings for the past couple months. So I think that if we can get parents involved and improve communication between parents and the board, then I think that moving forward will be strong and the parents would really appreciate that.
Okay. So this, Lisa, you are number 1 for question number 10. So I'm not going to skip you because you're going to go first.
Okay.
The district has experienced high turnover, and you guys have touched on this in some of your answers to the other questions. But it's talking about the high turnover of teachers and staff. How might you address this problem in terms of recruiting and hiring processes, exit interviews, or other strategies to retain teachers and staff?
Well, I happen to know, since I've been on those school board meetings, that this is something that there is a committee on and they're looking into, and all the things that they're doing are really positive. The teacher exiting comments, I feel like they're not really addressing any specific problems. They were moving out of the district, or they're just more of a generic answer. So I don't know if truly we ever know why teachers leaving the district, but we've had long-term teachers, and I know one of the band teachers, Ms. Demers, she had left after a very long time, and I don't know the reason, but I think that if teachers are leaving, is it involved in the pay, the students? And I don't know what the exact problem is, but I really want to find out. And so that's one of the things I really want to dive deep in and to look into why teachers are leaving.
Okay. Dorothea, you're second on that question.
Okay. First of all, I know that generally after about 7 years, teachers burn out. This is a phenomenon that's kind of all school districts are having some of the same issues. Sometimes it's relationships between teachers and students. You know, you have to manage those classrooms. Students aren't as much of the model students as they were maybe in the 50s and the 60s or something. So students are a little bit more challenging, and so teachers have to have a little bit more support. I am a big supporter for team teaching and for coming up with other ways to get students involved, you know, maybe even longer longer days, Monday through Thursday, and maybe Friday doing something else, or maybe teachers teaching on Tuesdays and Thursdays and the other one on Mondays and Wednesdays. I just think that there are a number of things that we can do to be creative, just to keep the kids more, get the kids more engaged in education.
Okay. Okay, Sheena, I'm going to repeat question 10. It's about the district experiencing high turnover of teachers and staff, and how might you address this problems in terms of recruiting, hiring, exit interviews, or other strategies concerning this issue of staff leaving?
Thank you. So I am team teacher all the way, again, because they are with our students almost more than we are. They're with them 7-8 hours a day. I do want to acknowledge the district's recent change in providing a paid lunch for the teachers. I think that's very important. And just overall, again, letting teachers know that we care and that we actually need them. And this can be done through compensation, work atmosphere, the availability of professional development resources, which I know the schools do provide professional development to the teachers. And I think that those are just a few things, a few implementations that we can make, again, to just really make teachers feel comfortable. Teaching is a true labor of love. I don't think that anyone teaches to get rich. And so we do need to acknowledge that and really let teachers know that we care about them.
Okay, thank you very much. Question 11, and that goes to Dorothea first. Question 11 is, some parents and staff are feeling a lack of respect from students. On the other hand, many students say they are not being heard and are misunderstood. How can we come together from all different cultures to understand, to appreciate, to respect each other as we grow and continue learning? And I think I'm going to repeat that one because it's really a mouthful. So some parents and staff are feeling a lack of respect from students. On the other hand, many students say they are not being heard and are misunderstood. How can we come together from all different cultures to understand, appreciate, respect each other as we grow and continue learning?
I'm going to say something kind of goofy, but I remember if I had a problem at school, my mother came. I remember my niece attended Brown Deer, and the teacher was having some problems with her, and so I kind of slipped in, caught her sitting there, going through her purse, counting money, doing everything except for working. And so I don't think parents do that anymore, and I'm not sure that that's going to be allowed right now because of the pandemic. However, sometimes it might be nice to just let a parent watch in. Not to say that the kids are always the problem. Sometimes teachers don't have the mentors or support teachers to help them to be their best and to manage their classroom. You take these courses and it's totally different once you're in a classroom. So I just think that it's maybe some of that coaching can last a little longer, and team teaching definitely would help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheena?
Yes. I think we need to look at the root cause as to why teachers and staff are feeling a lack of respect from the students. And it doesn't excuse it at all, but I think without knowing the root cause, you don't know how to address the lack of respect. So we need to look at why children are acting out. It could be anything from feeling unsafe at home, it's unsafe at school, economic issues, all of those things affect how even us as adults interact with each other. So I think we always need to look at the root cause. And then again, as I've said before, just have systems set in place where children know that those systems are there and that they're there for them to utilize it. Like the school counselors, like knowing that, you know, you can go to this person and talk to them. Respect is big, like Dorothea said, like if there was an issue back in my day, my mom would have been at the school. So, and we don't see that. And it's for various reasons. You know, parents can't always get in, they're working. And again, that goes to the root cause. Sometimes kids aren't even seeing their parents because their parents are working and trying to provide for them. So I think we really have to address the root cause and don't just look at it as children being disrespectful just to be disrespectful.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Some parents and staff are feeling a lack of respect from the students. On the other hand, many students say they are not being heard and they are being misunderstood. How can we come together from the different cultures to understand, appreciate, and respect each other as we grow and continue learning within the Brown Deer schools?
Well, I think more students need to be tolerant and accepting of other students who are different. And I think if they would do that more, then they would see things through other eyes. I know I'm in the business world and I work in manufacturing. I've worked at a manufacturing company for over 25 years at the same company. And I tell new employees this, and I tell my children this: you're not always going to work with someone that you like or that you get along with, but your job is to pretend like you do. Because in life, there's going to be people that you don't always get along with, but you have to figure out a way to come together to get results. And sometimes that's an important lesson to learn. Different personalities have to come together to achieve one outcome. So again, if these students, if they could be more tolerant and accepting of others and different personalities, that would probably help the situation. And I think Sheena has a good point. What is the root cause? Students being home and then coming back, I think social skills are lacking. And I think moving forward, things will help that they're in class. And I think that'll help moving forward. So hopefully more parent involvement as well. I think I've been keying on that, but I think more parents need to get involved and find out what is going on at school and what is causing this. And I think that would help a lot.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be the last question. It's question 12, and we're going to start with Sheena. So after this last question, then we're going to go to closing statements, which are 2 minutes apiece. And that will start with Lisa for closing statements. But right now, question 12, and that's starting with Sheena, is please describe your experience with conflict resolution and consensus building.
Yes, as I stated, I have a BA in communication. My focus was mediation and negotiation. So dealt with that quite a lot. In specific to youth with wraparound, I dealt with children who were dealing with emotional, behavioral, and mental health needs. And a lot of times these students had committed crimes in their communities. So our goal was to get them to function well in society. And that came with creating a plan of care and talking to their parents, their teachers, their therapists, getting a crisis worker, a mentor, and all coming together and addressing the conflicts that they had been in, and then coming to a consensus on how we can make sure that this doesn't happen and how to make sure that they could be productive citizens in society. So I think that was probably my biggest my biggest experience in conflict resolution and coming to a consensus.
Thank you. Lisa, question 12.
Can you please repeat the question?
Please describe your experience with conflict resolution and consensus building.
Well, I would say that I deal with a lot of conflict at work. In manufacturing, I'm actually do purchasing and customer service. So I think that I'm really good at listening to our customers and my vendors and resolving conflicts that might arise in that. People skills, I think I'm good at people skills and listening. So I would say that's probably the main experience that I have in that.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Dorothea, same question, experience with conflict resolution and consensus building.
Okay, for the lack of another word or term, I think that there's more than one way to skin a cat. When you have, we have a tendency to move quickly on things when there are problems, and sometimes, you know, you don't have time to create a whole plan. Conflict resolution comes down to respecting one another's opinion, understanding what the goals are. And the main operative should be to support students and to support the district in promoting those students. And so I think that, like I said, respect is really important, and looking at things in more than one way, looking outside the box, recognizing that, you know, the precedence of what happened in the past can't necessarily be the way that we handle things in the future. You have to look at a number of variables to determine what's the best course of action. And so I think that that's how you come about consensus, when you have respect and you're looking at a variety of different ways to handle a situation. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to have 2 minutes for each candidate's closing remarks. And we will begin with Lisa.
Okay, thank you. I guess in closing, I'd like to say that we all know that the Board of Education plays a critical role in determining policy that will improve the education of all our children. And I ask that you trust me, and I promise to always do our best and put our children first. I'm a candidate who has an open mind and a willingness to listen. I care about my son's education and the education of all students. I care about teacher retention, and I care about keeping parents informed. I care about the Brown Deer School District. So with your permission, your vote, I'd like to roll up my sleeves and get to work. I ask for your support. We must be partners in this endeavor if we are to be successful. So I'd ask you to please vote for me, Lisa Walker, on April 5th.
Okay,
Thank you.
Dorothea, your closing statement.
Okay. You know what, it was really nice to get an opportunity to meet all of you ladies. Sheena, this was the first time that I met her and got an opportunity to listen to her views as well. And however, Lisa, we've known one another for a very long time. Our kids are in the same grade. It was good to be able to hear her passion as well. And so I see that we are all passionate people. I think that one of the strengths that I have is that I have participated in the board in the past. I'm familiar with the things that you need to do in order to monitor and to record and to choose a superintendent and to help through a referendum. I've served in a number of capacities over the years. Like I said, before I even got on the board before, Teaching and Learning Committee, the Education Foundation, subbing, I'm gonna serve no matter what. I'm asking for an opportunity to serve again as a board member because I am familiar with what needs to be done, and I'm not afraid of the work that needs to be done. If you guys choose that one of these other folks are a better suit for this position, I understand. I'm going to serve no matter what, because I believe in our students and I want all of the students in the district to do well. So I thank you for your attention today. Um, this was a humbling situation for me because I feel like I look so old. But anyway, you got these beautiful young ladies on here, and I'm an older lady. So, but it's all good. I just want to serve in whatever capacity that I need to. But I would like to be considered for the board position once again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dorothea. Sheena?
Thank you. Well, first, Dorothea, you look great.
Thank you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters, the PTO, and all of the community members here and those who submitted questions. It was really good to see everyone's ideas, and the questions were really great. Simply put, I just really want to see Brown Deer thrive. It's a great district, and as a realtor, for me, it's disheartening when I'm showing clients homes and they say they want to be in the North Shore, but not Brown Deer. This is a great district, and I think that we need to show people what we're capable of and all of the great things that we're doing. So it's my promise that if I am elected, to unbiasedly represent all of our stakeholders. I know we don't always agree on everything, but I do think that we all have a common goal, and that is to make sure that our students are receiving world-class education and that we are going to be able to send them out in the world and be productive citizens who can make not just their parents proud, but make Brown Deer proud. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the Brown Deer School Board Candidate Forum. On behalf of Brown Deer Elementary School PTO and the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County, thank you to the community for your questions, and thank you to our candidates for participating in the forum and for running for a position in the Brown Deer School Board. Thank you to each of you, Dorothea Macon, Sheena Polachowski, Lisa Walker. You may view a recording of this event on the Brown Deer School District YouTube channel and on vote411.org. As a reminder, the election will be April 5th. Polls are open April 5th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And with proper documentation, you may still register when you go to vote. You may cast an in-person absentee ballot at the Village Hall during normal business hours until April 1. Voters will be required to show a photo ID in order to vote. Information on voting and elections can be found on vote411.org, the League of Women Voters in Milwaukee County website, which is a great website. You can look up answers to questions that candidates for all of the positions give, and you can compare them there. And also at myvote.wi.gov. So those are two good websites. If you need additional information, vote411.org and myvote at myvote.wi.gov.
I didn't hear that part. I'm sorry. My vote, what again? I'm sorry.
It's myvote.wi.gov. That gives a lot of information about your individual, how you register, how you vote, where you vote, what the issues are, and the comparing that with vote411.org, you're going to know everything you need to know about the elections, pretty much. The Q&A section at vote411.org allows you to directly compare the candidates. We want your vote to count, so please let us know if you have any questions. The League of Women Voters reminds you that our democracy depends on citizen involvement. I trust that you all intend to vote in the election on April 5th, and I hope that you help increase voter turnout by encouraging your friends to vote as well. So everybody should exercise their right to vote on April 5th, and thank you so much to the candidates for participating today.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
In the Brown Deer Elementary PTO, would like to thank everyone again for participating and your willingness to come in and answer all our questions. And again, I want to thank Ms. Julie and Ms. Kay for willingness to moderate. Thank you, all the community members. We appreciate you taking the time to come in and listening to our candidates. Have a good night, everyone.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great.